Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 661 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our ninth book just came out. It's called From Letters to Leaders, The Legacy of Service. So I want you to go and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, being an entrepreneur was by far the best decision that I've ever made outside of maybe choosing my wife. And mostly because I get to do what I enjoy every single day. And also, it gives me the freedom to decide when and where I'm going to be working today. Our next guest teaches this concept to other people. And I wanted our college student listeners to hear that conversation because so many students today have incredible ideas of new products they want to bring to market, or maybe new services that they want to sell. And this interview is going to give you all of the information and insight you need to make that dream a reality. Mike DeJong is a multi-business owner. He's a keynote speaker and the author of Grow Smart, Your Path to Freedom, Mastering the Transformation from Operator to Owner. Over the past 30 years across multiple industries, including the last decade in franchising, Mike has built businesses, turned around struggling operations, and he's often been the person called in to fix whatever isn't working. Through that experience, he discovered something most entrepreneurs do not realize until it's too late. Owning a business and having an owner's mindset are two completely different things. Mike now teaches entrepreneurs how to escape what he calls the operator trap, which is the cycle where owners work harder and harder, but never actually gain freedom. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks, Michael. What a great introduction. Really warm. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I am available. All you need to do is pack me away in your suitcase, take me around to, all cities all across America. I'll be there to deliver that intro anytime you need. Is that a deal?
I'll take you up on that eventually.
All right, it sounds good. Now, you've worked across aviation, engineering, franchising, entrepreneurship. Talk to us about the defining moment that pushed you towards business ownership.
Oh, wow. So there's a bunch of micro ones, but the big one, I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and the company itself had a down year, but my area did really well. We killed it, but no bonuses. So we lived and died on our bonuses. That's just the way it goes. But the board voted, hey, we're going to give everyone a bonus. And we're all like, yay, bonuses. We're going to make some money this year. And they peanut butter smeared it. Everyone got the exact same thing. And I'm like, man, I just killed myself for a year and I'm getting the same thing as the guy down the street who just, phoned it in. This doesn't work for me anymore. I got to go work for myself. That was the tripping point. There's a bunch of micro things as you move up to it, but that was the one where I'm like, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, that story is so interesting to me because I had a very similar moment. I was working for the largest publicly traded finance company, and my particular division, in terms of collections for hundreds of millions of dollars worth of loans, we had the lowest delinquency in the entire country in my office in New York. And I was killing it, and everybody in the country knew it because we would get weekly reports in terms
Yeah.
of which branch was doing what. And then when it came time for bonuses around Christmas time, the company issued a 2% increase for everybody in the company. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait
I'm
a
like,
minute.
I am delivering
Yeah.
results like nobody's business in this company. And I know it because I've seen it every week for 52 weeks. And now I'm getting the same thing as the other guy. I'm like,
Yeah.
no way. I'm like, there's something very wrong with this system. And that's when it kind of planted that seed. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to build my own company at some point in order to really recognize my contributions to the company. So very similar.
Right. And it's a similar pattern. The
Yeah.
more business people I talk to, it's the same story repeated again and again and again.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're an entrepreneur inside your being, as soon as you see stuff like that, and immediately this bell goes off, and you can't get rid of that bell. It's like, what am I doing here? Because I'm busting my hump for other people,
Right.
and I'm not being recognized for it. And that, feels really bad for somebody who's an entrepreneur. Now, other people might say that's a great situation where everybody wins, and that's okay.
That's fine.
That's fine
Yeah,
for them, right? But for us, it's really demoralizing. And so that's the reason why Mike and I got that feeling. Now, you've been also the fixer for struggling businesses, which I think is really, really interesting to me because there are plenty of struggling businesses out there. What is the most common problem that you see when things start to go wrong in a company?
It always breaks down to the leadership, but that could be defined in so many different ways and in so many different processes. But you could eliminate leadership in almost a lot of cases if you have great systems and great processes. You don't need great leadership if they have a plan and they all know how to follow it and they're all empowered to follow it. So I'm a big advocate on building systems, building processes. It doesn't have to be this arduous sitting down at your laptop and typing out 400 pages and how to apply a paperclip on the right way onto a piece of paper. Like you could just take your phone. We all have our phones. Here's mine. We could record exactly what we're doing. If it's got more than 3 steps or you do it more than 3 times, write it down, record it, define it, and then move on from it. And then you don't have to be the one to do it. You want to train someone? Here, watch the recording. Here, look at this
Mhm.
PDF that AI generated off my recording. Whatever works for them. Because you have to give it to them in the way they understand it too, right? Some people want a video, some people want it written. Everyone's got their own way.
Yeah.
And then that's number one. Number two is, and maybe it should be number one, but you can't have number one or number two if you don't have number one, is they're not serving the customers. They put themselves first. They make things easy for themselves. Like we have this process or procedure because it's easier for us instead of how does that affect the customer? How does this make the customer experience better? How does it make it easier for them to want to do business with you? Everything downstream. An example of that, I took over uh, a failing bakery, and their timeline for online orders was 24 hours. I'm like, 24 hours? People want something in this day and age. They want it like now. And they're like, no, we need that so we could get the best quality product for them and make sure we have it in stock because we baked it fresh that minute. I'm like, well, don't you bake fresh every day? Well, yeah, but there's all these buts. And just changing that to a 20-minute lead time was like a 20% plus increase in sales, like in that same month.
Wow.
And the customer satisfaction scores, more importantly, went up. I can't remember the exact, it was double digits. It was more than 10% because we were serving the customer the way they wanted to be served, not what was easier for us.
Right. That's a really important lesson. And I think about that all the time with our own clients. Whenever we have a speaking engagement, it's a one-page agreement, and the agreement is like super simple. Like, here's what we're going to deliver. Here's how much money it's going to cost. Here's when it's going to be completed, et cetera, et cetera. Sign here, done. And customers get it, and they're like, "Wow, that's it." I'm like, "Yeah. Why would you want to sign a 20-page agreement and send
Right.
it to your attorney before completing it and getting it back to me? My job is to make it as easy as possible for you to do business with us." And sometimes even within our own team, I think we forget that, and we give all of these complicated hoops for
Right.
our clients to go through in order to do business. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this is just a mess. So really, really important. I like that customer first. I think that's super, super important.
Customer first. Yeah,
Hmm,
look at it from the
absolutely.
eyes of the customer. If you want to go a little deeper in that, I start before I pull into the parking lot of a business.
Really.
You drive up to the business. Is the pylon sign lit? Is there trash in the parking lot? Is there
Hmm.
shrubbery trim? This is retail business, but it goes for there's metaphorical examples for any business.
Sure.
Is there tape on a crack on the window? Are they clean? Like there's just they say hello when you walked in the door. These all define that intangibles that the customer is not thinking of necessarily on the forefront of their mind, but definitely affect their experience as they're walking into your business.
Yeah.
And that could
Totally
be your
agree.
website. If you have a digital business, it can be your emails, it can be your text message, anything. How are you communicating with your customer?
hmm hmm Excellent. Really good observations. Now, the college students who are listening, they might want to start a business one day and they're already thinking in their mind what that's going to look like. So, talk to our audience about the difference between an operator mindset and an owner mindset.
Yeah, that's where I love to help people. This is why we're talking today, Michael. All
hmm
right, an operator mindset is you doing everything. You're the problem solver. You're in it. Whether you love it or not, and a lot of operators do, they're a fixer. All problems come through them and they solve all problems. And an owner mindset is building systems and people so it gets done without you. So you don't have to be there. You're not the bottleneck because there's only 24 hours in a day. Was 168 hours in a week. You got to sleep a few of them. You should probably eat a few of them. So maybe there's only so much of you to go around. And if you can't empower other people, you're only going to grow to maybe here. And if you try to grow to here, you're going to have chaos.
Yep, that's really good. I like that. And that's what I'm constantly thinking about all the time is how do I remove myself as a
Yes.
bottleneck from every aspect of the company and just empower other people and let them to grow the company without me. And I think that's really a great sign of a great organization is when everybody knows what their job is and they don't
Yes.
need the approval of somebody to come and say, yes, this is what you should be doing. They should know already what they're doing.
They
They don't
should.
need a leader to reinforce that. And so those are the best companies right there. That owner mindset. Really good
Right.
stuff.
And it sounds easy and it really is, but we all overcomplicate it. I think mainly because we don't ask are not we, well, I do this sometimes. No one does this better than me. Or I can't find someone to do this instead of changing that question around to how can I find someone that does this better than me?
hmm
And just
hmm
changing that question. Or we hire our friends and our family and the first person that applies off the street because we're just underwater and we just need bodies instead of looking for those A players, the ones that are going to do it better than you, that are going to pay for themselves in weeks or months and just explode your business. These are the traps that operators fall into and owners navigate through.
Yeah, great point. I remember being in a student organization. I was president of the chapter of my fraternity in college, and I remember thinking to myself that I need to do everything because if I give it to somebody else to do, they're going to screw it up. And
Right.
I didn't want them to screw it up, right? So talk
Right.
to us a little bit about that difference between the student leader who runs everything themselves, like me in college years ago, versus somebody who builds systems within the student organization.
Yeah, well, it comes with experience and learning to let go. What should you do versus what you shouldn't do? And the things that you should do, people tend to hold on to the things they like to do, maybe not even the things they should do. I like
Mhm.
doing this, so I'm going to do it. You have to figure out what is the things that only you can do. There's literally no one else can do this. Like it's your magic pixie dust that you're sprinkling on the process. Everything else can be delegated. But then in the delegation process, a lot of us, so, okay, here, go do this. And we assume that they have the same skill set and the same experience level, same upbringing, et cetera, that we do, and they do it differently or they have a different take on it. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just different. So early on, I encourage people to do like another variation of the 80/20 rule. 10% up front, work with the person that's going to do it. Let them do the 80% of the work in the middle, and then you could put the 10% polish on the end. And then be sure to share it as a collaboration. Never steal anyone's work. I'm a huge believer. I'm always like, it wasn't me, it was my team. And your team knows and loves and appreciates that. But that's how I try to teach people early on to properly delegate, not just throw it out there.
Yeah, that's an excellent lesson right there. I mean, Mike is talking about sharing the credit with your team, and it's always about the team. It's never about him personally. And that's a really, really important leadership lesson if you want other people to help you build something really special. you really have to give all the credit to them. Anything that's positive, I always just give that to the team, right? If
Right.
there's something negative that happens, then I take
Own
the
that.
ownership on me that I
Right.
screwed up here, right? So it's always
100%. I could give you
that
example
dynamic.
after example, Michael. Yes.
It's always that dynamic, but that's a really hard lesson to learn. And I remember when I was in college, I really didn't quite understand that concept. And it wasn't until later in life that I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this wrong. And really just giving all the credit to the team. It's always about we, and it's never about me unless something screws up. If there's a screw up, it always falls on me.
It
And that's
always falls on
okay.
me.
That's okay. That's totally fine. Anyway, really good stuff here. Now, there's an expression out there that a lot of college students, especially if you're into like investing and crypto, people talk about this concept of to the moon, which basically just means that, they really want these quick hits. They want
Yeah.
quick, rapid success. I see that a lot within college students today. How do I make $1 million tomorrow? And you actually mentioned that growing too early can actually hurt a business. So, can you explain that concept and how students can avoid that from happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure can. So, you want to make $1 million tomorrow, or do you want to make $100 million in a lifetime?
Hmm.
Let's start with that premise. And if you want to make $1 million tomorrow, go gamble on crypto, go gamble in the stock market. I mean, gamble, because if you haven't learned the fundamentals, that's what you're doing. Uh, and that's what you want to do. Fine. I'm not the like life coach here for how you should spend your life, but I would encourage people that they should try to build and grow something incrementally. And if they don't, if they are the roadblock, if they are the operator in that business, uh, all they're going to do is grow more chaos. They're going to grow bigger problems. Those little nibbly things that kind of affect getting things done efficiently are going to just explode. And I could talk about that personally when I went from my first retail location to my second retail location because I'm like, I just got to grow. I'm not making enough money to feed my family. It's just, I just, we're taking great care of our customers and great care of our team, but my bank account's empty. If I open another location, I'll be fine. And I was still stuck in that operator trap that I talk about. And I ended up making less money and took worse care of the customers and took worse care of the team till I stepped back, started building the system, started building the processes. Our customers level went up to here. Our team satisfaction went up. People started staying for years and years and years instead of weeks and months. And it just changed everything. So if you want that quick hit, well, they're rare, few and far between to start with. But if you want to build something where you could make hundreds of millions of dollars over the years, build the systems, build the processes, think like an owner, not an operator.
Mm. But that's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, if you're having really early success and you're super excited about it and you're like, wow, we've done really well here. Let me just multiply this times 10 or 100, and I'll be able to quickly duplicate that. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you change that mindset with young entrepreneurs in terms of scaling a business?
So I'll ask this question. Do you want to own a business or do you want to own a job?
Well, that's a good point.
And my girlfriend's son's a great example of this. He has a fantastic YouTube channel, um, and he is doing fantastic. He's doing great. He's doing great, but he is the entire business. He couldn't come on our Christmas, New Year's family vacation because he had to be making content for his channel, which is again doing great, but he's going to be limited in how far you can grow until he has a team. If you could answer the question, how can this business grow or even just work? It doesn't even have to grow. How can it work without me? If I could go on a vacation for a week or two or three, I'd say three is the minimum. A month is better. With minimal to no input from you, then you're ready to grow. Then you could take the systems and processes you have and multiply them. But until you could do that, you haven't stress tested it. You still might be the key roadblock that is making the magic happen. You don't even realize it, and you're just going to scale chaos.
Yeah. That's a great point. And, there are plenty of if we're talking about social media, right? Like let's say it's Instagram or YouTube or what have you. I mean, there are ways that you can post those things in advance and drop them on particular days. So, start thinking about that if you're the bottleneck when it comes to social
Right.
media. How do I create all of this content, let's say in bulk, and then release it slowly each day so that way I can go on vacation? Or how do I get other people on my team? How do I hire other people to do some of this content for me while I am on vacation, right?
Right. And the key fact there being your team and not just staff you have working for you.
Right, right. It's got to be teammates that are interested in building this business. Now, talk about that difference right there, right? What's the difference between having staff and a true team? What's the difference?
Yeah, I could define it like this. A staff follows instructions and a team owns the outcomes.
Hmm. That's
And
really
it comes from clarity and purpose. If they understand the mission and their role in it, they'll go and run with it, especially if you allow them to do that and you've built a culture that allows it. And a simple culture out there that I think is very effective in this area, which is easy to say, but it takes a while to people to believe you, is the 100-0 culture. And that's I take 100% responsibility and 0% blame. And most people are brought up like it wasn't me, it was my brother, it was my sister, it was the next door neighbor, it was, everyone's pointing the finger. It's not me, it's not me, it's not me. And if you could really get people to understand, like, yeah, hey, here's what happened, here's why it happened, here's how we're going to fix it, as opposed to like jumping down their throats, like, you screwed up again, I can't believe this. Um, the failing happens faster, which means the learning happens faster, which means the growth happens faster.
100%. And that's another really big lesson, I think, for our listeners. A lot of them are really just scared to fail. And some of the biggest learning lessons that I've had in my career, they were just failures that I've had.
Yes.
And that's where I
Yes.
learned the most. And so don't be afraid of that, especially when you're in college. This is a great time to test things and see what works and what doesn't work. And the downside is very small. I mean, it's not like
Right.
you have a mortgage and you got kids that you gotta be responsible for it at that age. So, when you're in college, this is your time to test different things, see what works,
Right.
what doesn't work, and it's okay. And if you fail, so what?
So
Honestly,
what?
so what? You
Exactly.
just learned something that might have taken you a decade to learn, but you learned it in a second, and you're not going to repeat that, hopefully, right? So, so don't shy away from making mistakes, especially when you're in college. The downside is very, very small here. So great stuff. Now, let's assume that one of our listeners wants to start a business. They have a new product, they have a new service that they want to offer. What are the first three steps they need to take today?
3 steps. Okay, let me see if I could boil this down to 3 things. Um, no, that's great. I think first of all, you got to start small and test it. You need a minimum viable product, the MVP, minimum viable product. I've worked with too many people at all ages where they just keep baking in more stuff and more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, and they've never tested it with the customers. For all you know, the customer doesn't care. So start with something small and test it, and then let what the customers tell you define how you move forward.
Mhm.
And then get the process working consistently, whatever that is in that product. Get it working consistently and without you before you add in more features. Features are great, but maybe you don't need 99 ways to get to the settings bar on Windows. I don't know. And then pay attention to what does break, I think would be the third thing. I think all of us tend to go, this works great. This works great. Look how great this is. Look how great this is. I think the real value is listening to what people are telling you and what isn't working. Um, and then leaving the ego behind. I was like, yeah, but I spent X number of days, weeks, months, years building that. All right, well, customers don't like it. Who cares?
Mhm.
Let's give them something that does. And just rinse and repeat. Add the next small thing, get it working really well, pay attention to how it breaks, and just build an upward spiral, that 1% improvement. God, myself included still, I have to take a step back. overestimate what we could get done in a day or a week or a month, and we underestimate what we can get done in a year or decades with just consistent small improvements.
hmm That's the key, that consistent small improvements every single
Yeah,
day. That is the key. Just keep showing up for your customers, keep listening to what your customers have to say, and making those incremental changes. It's unbelievable to me how many people they don't get started with their business because they think that everything has to be perfect on day
right.
one, and they're chasing perfection, which Mike
Yes.
and I know there is no such thing as perfection when it comes to businesses. There's always going to be process improvements, always. And this happens gradually over years, over
Yes.
decades. And so, as long as you're constantly refining things, and as he said, rinse and repeat, testing it to see what the customers think, then ultimately, over years, over decades, you are going to see more profits, you are going to see more
Yes.
results. And it's okay if things aren't perfect on day one. There's this one guy that I know of who had a great business idea, and he never published the website because he could never get it perfect in his eyes. And you know
Yeah.
what happened? Another competitor came out
Right.
and beat him
Came
to the
in.
punch, took out all the market share, and by the time he published his website, it was too late because his product was already developed by somebody else and they had taken all the market share away.
Oh, that hurts. That
And it's
hurts.
like, and he had the perfect opportunity. And I'm
Yeah.
like, forget about perfection. It's just better done than perfect at this
It's the
point.
lowest standard. Perfection is the lowest standard because it's completely unachievable.
Completely
It's
unachievable.
completely unachievable. It doesn't exist. So therefore, it's the lowest standard because it's never going to happen.
Yeah, totally agree. We are lockstep. Yeah, perfection doesn't exist in our world, and we know that, and that's okay. So it's better to just publish and test and see what works and what doesn't work, because then at least you can start getting some market share. But if
Right.
you don't, then somebody else is going to beat you. Okay, somebody
Every
else is going
time.
to beat you to the punch every single time. Somebody
Right.
else is thinking about this idea in their head, and if you hesitate, they are going to beat you. Okay, I'm just telling you the truth because I've seen it time and time again with incredible business ideas, and I just don't want you to see, miss that train and somebody else, takes it and runs with it. So anyway, more
Yeah,
entrepreneurship.
the very wealthy, smart business people I've had the pleasure to speak with over the years, they tell me I just do it faster, and I
Faster.
fail a lot more often when my competitors on their first idea, I'm on my 11th.
There
I've
you go.
already just kept it moving.
Yeah. Yeah, they're faster. It's really the key is the speed in which you get to the market. And it's okay if you fail a few times, but as long
Right.
as you're there first, then you can refine these things and
Especially as a college
itemize.
student. What do you
Yeah,
got to lose, like you said?
nothing to
You're
lose.
already living in a dorm. You're already eating ramen noodles. I mean,
You got nothing to lose at this
you got
point, right? I mean,
exactly,
if the business doesn't work, so what? Your dorm is still
exactly,
there. It's okay.
100%. Burn the
Uh,
boats.
yeah,
Take the
yeah, yeah.
island.
A lot of the college students listening right now, they have a severe case of burnout. And so, are there any particular habits that students should be building now to avoid that burnout and overwork later in life?
Absolutely 100%. I'm a big believer in taking care of the body. Like you need to eat healthy, you need to exercise. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't have the energy to build a business. And I can't say I've been 100% behind that. There's times I've let it fall by the wayside on a 100-day sprint, for example, but you always have to come back to that being your core. You got to keep yourself healthy. Maybe Monday mornings, my mouth still doesn't work. We are recording this on a Monday.
Yes.
The other part is don't do everything yourself. Learn early to do what you're good at and leverage what you're not. Now, I know when you're like literally starting, you have to do everything, but the faster you could send stuff out, the better chance you have of not burning out.
hmm Very good. Excellent, excellent advice. And I totally agree with you, especially on eating right and keeping your body in shape 100%. There are times, just like Mike, where I'm on a sprint and I need to get something done. And it might be a 30-day project. And so sometimes I do let things go, but I always return back and say, okay, now that that project is done, I can get back to my normal routine. I had something similar for a couple of weeks as I was doing my business taxes that was due March 15th. And I knew that I had to get this done And it took me a couple of weeks in order to finish it. So I
Right.
let a few things go in terms of working out in that period. But now that it's done and March 15th has come and gone and my taxes are complete, now I can get back to my true north, which is eating right and working out every single morning. And I'm back on track. So that's okay if you step out of line, just know where your true north is and get back there as quickly as you can.
As
Um,
quickly as possible. Yeah.
yeah,
Have a plan. Like build it into your plan.
sure.
I'm not going to do this for 30 days. On 31, the 31st day, I'm coming back to
I'm
it.
coming back. That's right. And that's okay. Sometimes, you have to take advantage of, the timing and you have to let things go for a little bit. And that's okay as long as you have a plan to come back. And so all of that is really good. I think you're the perfect person to ask this question. And it's really just a philosophical question because we're all chasing it. Can you define for us success in one sentence?
Oh, wow. Success is having a business that gives you both impact and freedom,
There you go. There
whatever
you go.
those mean to you.
hmm I 100% agree with that. There's nothing that I would change about that definition, especially as it comes to being an entrepreneur and having a successful business. I think that's really what it's all about. And Mike succinctly told you what that success looks like. And if you just follow that, and that's what you're chasing, I think you're going to do very well in life. Now, if our college students who are listening right now, if they want to go and buy your book, the book is called Grow Smart, Your Path to Freedom, Mastering the Transformation from Operator to Owner. Let's say they want to buy the book or they want to connect with you, maybe for speaking services or other things. Where should they go to connect with you?
Yeah, go to MikeDeJong.com. That's Mike, DeJong. You could download the book there on a PDF, absolutely free. Don't even have to buy it. It's yours. Um, I have been told I need to get it on Amazon because there's people that want a physical copy. I'm working on that. I'm working on that. It's on the list. And you could also sign up to have a conversation. And it's not a sales call. I literally just love giving to people. I'll give you 30 minutes to an hour of my time and we'll work through where you're at. And you'll leave
That's
with a plan.
That's a great offer. Go to his website and just download the book for free. You don't even have to pay for it. It's
Right.
mikedejong.com, MikeDeJong.com. Go to the website, download the book, and it's yours for free. And I'm going to help Mike to get that book published and get that on Amazon because he definitely needs to have some physical copies that he can pass out on all of his speaking engagements around the country. So, Mike, thank you so much for sharing all this great information with us today.
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You got it. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Mike and you learned something today, what I want you to do is share this episode with your fraternity or sorority chapter. Just put the link in a group chat, share it on social media. You never know who needs to hear Mike's message today. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.